Controls are a little different, so we make sure that the music is going down and it looks like it. Let's increase it for my ears. And we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. My name is Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to whoa. Okay, let's see. Hopefully, you guys can still hear me. My camera just overheated, which is my mistake. Absolutely 100% because I made an entire case for this. Okay, hold on. Let me go with the. Okay. At least you still got a visual. My camera just overheated. As you can see, we're still setting up the studio. This is not the shot that I was expecting to have, but at least we have it to go by. Um, what's up? Let me say what's up to everybody. So, this is really not prompted, but you know what? I'm gonna now take this camera, which is the behind the scenes. This is the iPhone XR, and I'm gonna bring it to the front so that I can address this. So, let's go ahead and do that. See what we're doing here. Work this out. That seems about right. Live happens. Okay, we're back. This way I can at least somewhat try to keep this under control. That is hilarious. Okay. As you can see, somewhere in these boxes in the back here, I got my cooling fans and everything. You know, I did design an iPhone rig junkie camera rig cage, you know, for this camera because of its overheating. And just I am so exhausted, guys, that unfortunately that one slipped through the cracks, and I just threw it on there via USB-C and it totally overheated. Now the camera that I'm talking about is the iPhone, not the iPhone, the Sony A7C Mark II. And we'll see if we get around to it. As of right now, let's see about doing something else, because we said that we were setting up the studio. I'm gonna get to the comments in just a second because that was really unexpected. But maybe we'll set up the obs bot here as a front facing camera because this is easy to set up. And now the AC turns on. um Easy to set up and it won't overheat, so this will definitely be the backup, and then maybe I'll throw this one back as the background camera. But let's go ahead and start that all over again. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you, as always, to upgrade your skills before your gear. Now, if it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself and say what's up in the chat so you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. And as tradition goes around here, usually without all of these hiccups, we usually go ahead and check out who are the first members of the Camera Junkie crew to be hanging out in the chat. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, wait, we're on a completely different screen. Okay, so let's move this to here. But now if we go to the comments, you know what? I'm just going to pull them up here. Because if I go to the comments window, we lost that camera. Okay, so let's go back to it. All right. We have Gretchen saying hi. Saying hi, MCJ crew. Okay, let's move this window where I can control it. We got Mr. Moderators in the house. I don't like the framing. I at least like to be centered. I don't like to be looking in this direction and then having the majority of the screen behind me. I would much rather be here in rule of thirds or dead center, but that's just my OCD. We got Parker Jennings in the house saying hello to everyone. Paul saying hi to Parker. We got Logan in the house, says you weren't joking. Now this is a studio. Yeah, this is a lot more space, as you can see. We'll get into it because it's still a whole hot mess, right? But I got the entire setup, more lights. I have way more space here to mess with. Plus, I'm able to compartmentalize where as you can see, I got the second desk running in the background and all the boxes and everything there. So it's definitely a work in progress, but I gotta tell you, the most challenging week of my life, it has been this past week. Not that I would, like, if I would have already known how challenging it would have been, it would have changed my decision, because it wouldn't. But whoa, was it more than what I was expecting? But we might get into it a little bit later. But let's continue. So we have Logan mentioning the studio. We have Gretchen saying, "New tunes. I'm so excited to see what's in the new setup. Knowing what you're doing inspired pushed me to redo my background today." Oh, that's so awesome. Yo, Dan Tana's in the house. How you doing, bro? Thanks for stopping by. Says, "Don't you have an FX30?" I do have an FX30, but Logan, it's in one of these boxes. I haven't gotten around to it, but like that's exactly where we're at. I'm using what's available, and that's what was accessible to me. Because I do have my other, like my main camera, which is the one that I know won't overheat, which is my um A7R2, which is the one that I usually have there, which I'm gonna switch up. If I decide to use that camera, I'm not gonna use it in 4K. I'm still gonna try to utilize the full sensor, so I might, like downgrade that camera's output to 1080 to maximize the width of the sensor. So that's just a completely different thing. But that's something that I had mentioned last week, which was what Doc Rock had um linked sent me a link to. Get the words out, Lewis. Um about getting Fuji colors out of your Sony camera. So I was really going to try to mess with that one so that I can continue to use that one and try to get Fuji colors, but in a full frame aspect. Because I have so much more space here, I have a lot more room to play with. And if I can, then what I'm thinking is over off to the right over here, I'm going to have like a telephoto shop, right? So it, like, I can just throw simple HDMI along the wall over here, and I already have a lot of space there that'll be easy to mount a camera and give like a really good, like 85, maybe even 135 millimeter lens that I'll be able to throw because of the distance that I have here. Like it's gonna be a lot of fun, because I showed you already that I have the secondary light off with a snoot, and that snoot I 3D printed. That was nice. So I was able to 3D print that snoot and now get the shot, or like the hair light that I want with the light casting over. So I'm gonna get really nerdy with this, but I can't wait to see what I do and actually see if I end up putting like where I'm gonna do the FX30 and things like that, because the FX30 is my rig. So that's the one that I also want to have like kind of away from the studio, because I want to kind of put the things here and kind of leave them and only take them if it's really necessary. Hey, thanks, Dan. It says the iPhone camera is looking great, actually. Now, just to let you know, the reason why is because we have good lighting, right? Because I have good lighting here. This is an old ass camera. As you can see down there, it says an iPhone XR. And the reason why I use it is because I don't really use it as a phone. So instead of like just throwing away tech, I repurpose it and use it as like my behind the scenes camera. And right now it's coming in clutch, saving the live stream. That's so funny. Like we are doing it on an iPhone. It says continuity is being non-continuity. What? I don't know. Hopefully everything's coming out right, or maybe I'm glitching, but we'll see afterwards. It says for streaming, that makes a lot of sense. It says typos abound. I think we're fine. All right, so where are we? Actually, let me get back into it. Today we were going to talk about setting up the studio. Now, I I already got into it just checking out the chat, but getting a little bit deeper into it, yeah. Um, this camera looks good because we have good lighting. Now, this is something that I'm gonna take the camera to the back to show you and put it where it was before. So, okay. Try to not give you guys any motion sickness. All right, let me get something to drink here. So I guess it's buffering. I'm sorry if it is, guys. I wouldn't know, but this is also a test because we're running off of a wireless internet source. Now, I am going to be meshing quite a few different 5G networks, but hopefully right now I can show you exactly what I got going on. Now, this cage here, right, that I have right on top, this is something that I built myself. And I did this in IKEA years ago. The section in IKEA that I got all these parts like was discontinued and no longer exist. But it's just basically these a tubular system that allows me to change it up. So this is actually not the same exact setup that I had previously in my other apartment. So I actually had two shelves above me because I had an entire like cupboard or like cabinet underneath, right? And that took up all that space, so I had those shelves on top. Right now I have one shelf underneath, which I'm kind of using like in this space right here as gonna be my cable management. So all of these little IKEA pegboards that I 3D printed, all of these are going to be sitting in here. So you can see I put the shelf underneath and I've totally like rescaled everything. Now the desk is exactly the same spot, so I'm good with the standing desk here, but I did raise this shelf up even higher. Now, what I'm just reading the messages. Sorry, guys. This is what I was reading. Just paid for a year of motion VFX, design studio, and cine studio. RIP. Okay, that's funny. All right, so what I've done here is that I've just built out this cage, and now I have the same light that I had from before that I'm able to just put on top here to give me a working station. I still have the magnets set up and connected to the back so that I can just easily switch it here. And now it's facing forward as like my fill light. Before I had a softbox that was just off to the left here and a hair light coming in from the back. Now I have the light on the snoot coming in and just kind of, projecting over here, giving me a sharper line if we were looking at it from this direction, separating me from the background. And my 60-watt light that used to be here, right, is now just off to the right of the cage. And because of the extra space, I'm able to pull my desk away from the wall so it's not pressed up against it, which now gives me space to put a tripod behind it very easily. I have access all the way around so that I could constantly like change it and modulate it, and it's not so static. And the light is projecting over the light, so as you can see, my light source now becomes basically the size of my desk. It starts from here and ends on the wall over here, and that's like 50% light, and with that it's giving such a nice soft fall off that I almost don't have to do pretty much anything else. I'm able to mess around and play with a variety of different things, and that's just how I have it right now. So as you can see, I was able to modulate it, and all of these 3D printed pieces here, I'm just gonna line them up all on this shelf and take all of my cables and everything that you're seeing hanging here, and that's gonna be stuffed in here. And I'm really thinking that I'm even gonna throw my battery backup that's just sitting on the floor and see if I can just throw that in this space as well, so that it's kind of hidden behind this walled garden of, you know, SCADAS boards. And then on top of that, I'll be able to hang things and certain tools off of the front side of the SCADAS boards, because that's what they're made for. So I have a lot of accessories, so my tools won't be far away, and they're all going to be here like in my setup. So this is just like ideal right now, and I'm having a lot more fun because I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I'm really excited with how it's turning out. All right, let's go. Bring you guys back over. Okay, now, one thing is that the iPhone is on a battery charge. So I also don't trust it just the same way. Cable management is always a pain, says Joe. Yeah, but once you get it right, then you should be good. And that's the whole thing. Once that's on there, I'll be able to like just adjust this and even move this on the fly. Oh, another thing is that I put this entire rig on my moving blankets. So now I'm just moving the moving blankets and it's sliding very easily, and I'm able to maneuver this without like with very little effort, better said. So I had it with Premiere. I had transcode proxies just to edit my 6K footage for my upscaling Sigma BF video. Nice. I can't wait to check that video out, man. All right. So let's see where we're at right now. Okay. Next thing that we're going to do, right? Because we're here is let's try, or not let's try, let's go ahead and connect this guy. Now, ideally, I would be using the tripod that the iPhone's on right now. That would be the ideal situation. But you know what? Let's see what we can find. I just pulled out one of the boxes of certain things that would generally be used in my setup. So this is a lot of cheese plates, and we found an articulating arm. Okay, so that's good. That's something we can work with. Okay, a ball head. We're gonna jerry rig something up real quick. Okay, let's check the next box. All right, that one was a little bit heavier. Let's see what we got in here. Okay, it looks more like, yeah, this was the rig that held up the A7R2. Yeah. Garbage webcams. We're in the right box. All right. I'll snatch this and use that for something else later. If you have any questions or, you know, any suggestions, let me know. I'm paying attention here in chat. All right. HDMI cables. Some batteries. Oh, well, I'll be able to snatch. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, okay. I got an idea. All right. Something just struck my mind. I'm over here looking for a cable to connect the Tiny 2, right? Yep. I was about Tiny 2. I had to double check the name. Okay. So this is the plan. Let me see if I find. Yes, right here. Perfection. Okay. So I found the base plate to that. I love using the Ulanzi claw. Oh, the Ulanzi claw setup. So I have that here. What that does is that now that makes the base of this camera Arca Swiss, right? So now I can take it and throw it onto the same tripod that my A7C2 is on, seeming that that overheated and is not working. At the same time, I was using a USB-C cable, which is what I was looking for to connect. So I'm just going to connect that cable that's already connected to my computer onto this guy, and it will just officially replace what's there on the tripod. So that's what I'm doing. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back as the behind the scenes camera so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll flip the cameras. That's good enough. Okay, so right now I'm going to go into preview mode. You can see it on the window here. So that allows me to change the windows before you guys see it on the live. But I lost my mouse. Okay, there it is. So I can go to my A camera. As you can see, it's blacked out, but you're still seeing me. And now I'm going to change the source to the Tiny 2. And there it is. And now we'll publish this. And now you guys are seeing me through the Tiny 2. It seems like it's off. But let's see what we can do with that. I should be able to do this. And now it's following me. Nice. Okay. Now let's stop the follow. Okay, that's not a bad shot. All right. But what I'm going to do now, back to live mode. I'm going to go into live demo. Show you what I see here. Now I'm going to open this up. Zoom out a bit. Oh, that was more than one. That works. All right. And this guy's not going to overheat on us for the rest of the night. All right. And there you go. And now we're back to the live. I'm going to take this. Just make it disappear for the moment. All right. And we're back to it. Let me go see what you guys. Gretchen got an amazing question here. She says, does Aiden like the new space? He absolutely is having a blast. I'm having so much fun because I'm getting to experience things that I have never experienced as a father, which is like giving Aiden his own room. And now that he has his own room, I'm able to put him to bed, and I'm not keeping him awake with my voice. Like right now, just before the live stream, just like so many nights before, he just decides to crash out and fall asleep right before we go live. And he did that, and he fell asleep on my bed right over here. And as soon as he did, I was able to pick him up and carry him to his bed and put him in his room, tuck him in, close the door behind me. And the thing that I got to experience was like to be able to check up on him, and just like creak open the door and see that he's sleeping and that he's fine, and just like still in his blankets, and then just close the door behind me. And that was just such a cool like experience that it sounds simple, but I had never really experienced that before, and the experience that with Aiden was just the best, absolutely the best. And that is absolutely worth it. Like the other day I had a call, like early in the morning, and like normal, like Aiden can almost sleep through a hurricane, right? But if he hears my voice, then it's different. It's almost like I'm talking to him, so he'll wake up. And it's happened so many times where I've had things playing, like just throughout the day, and he's asleep, napping, or whatever. But as soon as I get on a phone call, or it's maybe even a video that I'm editing of myself, and he hears my voice, and now he's awake because it's like what's going on with that. So that is really cool that now I'm able to have phone calls and go about my business completely separate, and have him just like not lose sleep or wake up early because of just listening to my voice. So that that was just that's just been really cool. Now, on the other note, what I've been doing with my father was just it's been all consuming. It's been all consuming, but it's been an incredibly difficult week. But we're learning and we're getting past it now. To give you the dad update, dad was at recovery a recovery center in the time that I was moving and like combining apartments and doing everything. On the 1st of August was his birthday, which was last Friday. And he was having a lot of difficulty speaking, and it affected me tremendously because I had just spoken to him the day before, and I didn't know what was going on. Even though I was doing all of like the physical laborious work, like I wasn't there physically. And I was excited to pick him up on the first, but I was told that I wasn't able to pick him up until the third, which was Sunday, because of the simple fact that he had gotten COVID while he was at the rehab center. So him having difficulty speaking, had me like concerned, and I called my sister, and when they were to talk, the excuse that we were given was that that had to do with the COVID that he had just gotten. And not happy about that. But as soon as I brought him here to the house, when I picked him up on Sunday, he started recovering, right? Like every day was a step forward into the positive, and I was just doing everything in my power to make it as most comfortable as comfortable as possible for my father. And that's where I would say that that was just been a very difficult week, dealing with his needs, with Aiden's needs, and work needs, and sleep needs for myself, and everything else on my plate. Um, there was nurses that have been coming in and out through the week, doing evaluations and things like that. And one of the nurses said that that she had a concern about a drain site where my father is dealing with that she felt could be infected, right? And she said if if it were up to her, that she would probably take him into the hospital to get blood work done to make sure that the infection wasn't getting worse before it goes like septic and gets bad, right, and gets to dangerous. So the issue that I had was, at the moment, didn't have a wheelchair, and she was so gracious enough to say, hey, you know what, if you need a wheelchair to get him to the hospital, I have one that you can borrow and use it in the meantime. And I go, thank you so very much. So I grabbed that wheelchair, and then we were off to the hospital for a checkup of blood work. um and when we got to the hospital and we were doing the initial check-in, I was explaining everything that I basically just explained to you guys right now, to the like admitting nurse, and to the doctor that was there on site when I dropped them off the other day, as per the recommendation for the infection. And of course, they knowing a lot more than me, and me being new to all of this and his condition, they weren't worried at all about the infection. I'm over here talking about like thinking that that's gonna be the worst thing, and they're like, "How long has he been having trouble speaking? What's going on with this? Going on with that?" And they put it as like a secondary note, like I'm over here asking about the infection, making sure that things aren't getting worse. And the doctor is like, yeah, I don't like I don't care about the infection, we'll fix that afterwards, like what's going on with his speech. So then that's when I started speaking to the nurse and breaking down the things that I knew. And that's when my father then started speaking even more about certain things that happened at the rehab center, which I'm not pleased about. And I have to figure out how we move forward with that. Uh, and because of it, they took him in and they kept him in for observation overnight. Well, that overnight observation gave us the information that it's very unfortunate, but the day of his birthday, his 81st birthday, the day that I called him before I was able to pick him up from the rehab center, apparently he suffered a blood clot that was in his neck, and that was cutting off blood flow to the brain, which led to a stroke. And that's what was my concern in all of these things. And that's the latest and greatest of the diagnosis with my father. Now that we're understanding a lot better of what's happening, he's getting the correct care. I just saw him today, and he's still having difficulty speaking, but he's already progressed even more than the little time that he was here with me in that progression. So um, very grateful that he's still with us. uh, upset at certain things that happened out of my control, and but still upset nonetheless. And that's exactly where we're at. But I want to thank all of you guys for your thoughts and prayers for every single time that I've mentioned for my father, because that does go a long way, you know. And I thank you guys every single week for hanging out here with me, because this is also like my getaway, my solace of being able to just hang out and nerd out on things that have nothing to do with life, because life could really kick your ass a lot of times. And it really kicked mine this week, because the mental really took a bigger drain on my energy levels than I thought that I could ever thought. Um, and then when you're already like depleted on strength, it doesn't make things easier, right? So, yeah, it's even to the point where exhaustion was last week. I don't think they've ever made up a word for what I'm feeling right now as far as how tired I am. But there's still a lot of work to do. And like I said, I saw my father earlier today with my sister, and we're getting on top of things. Um, it's upsetting, but then also my father's hard headed. You know, like he doesn't tell me all of the things that happen. You know, and he just well, we're gonna have to roll with the punches and work with that as well. But I'm very grateful that he's still here with us, because I had him here for a week with a blood clot apparently in his neck, and I had like, I'm not a physician. I wouldn't be able to recognize that. I had nurses coming in and out for the entirety of the week, you know, doing evaluations on my father, and not one time was that mentioned as even a cause for concern. But, you know, just like when you know that you have like a problem with your car, but you don't know what it's doing, and as soon as you pull up to the mechanic, he can like hear the ticking, and he can tell you, oh, it's this lifter on that valve and it's doing this. Oh, I zoomed out. um just being able to do that, you know, on the, like, they can tell right away what my father was like dealing with more than anything. So they were able to like hear the ticking and say like, hey, you know what, we're dealing with something a little bit more concerning than an infection. So let's go ahead and take care of this. And I'm very grateful for this move, because I also am grateful for the hospital that we taken him to, because it is like the best in South Florida. And this little like just visit kind of confirmed it for me, and I'm very grateful for all the staff and everyone there at the Cleveland Clinic over here in South Florida. So that I won't take away from it. So I'm also grateful that, like I said, like without knowing, you know, it could have been a lot worse anytime this week. So my father's on blood thinners right now, and we're gonna see what are the next steps. uh don't know the exact cause of the blood clot, right? They saying because of medical procedures and things like that that he's already undergone, that he's more prone to things like that. And that's where we're at right now. But once again, I thank everyone for the thoughts and the prayers, and that's exactly like where we're at. It's just been the most physically and mentally tasking week of my life. And that's why I had mentioned before, but now you get a little bit more context that, like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, like, as far as my father's needs and what was going to be required of me. And it's like came in over my head, but I'm just surely like reaching to the surface again, you know. And I might still be a little bit underwater, but I'm just inches above the surface. But when I first dove in, I didn't know how deep it was, and I was clearly in over my head. And that's why I mentioned again, it's not like that. Even if I would have known how much work and how daunting this entire endeavor would be, that it would change my mind, because it wouldn't have, and it won't, because it's not about me, right? And in that aspect, I'm very grateful that I'm able to do what I was able to do, because one of the nurses did, and I thank her. One of the nurses did give me a scenario of how a lot of other parents are dealing out here without someone taking care of them, like I've been able to do for my father just in this past week. And yeah, and things could have been a lot worse. So I'm grateful for that, and that's why I say I'm grateful for all of you, because at the end of the day, this endeavor of YouTube and everything like that, this pursuing of my passion and taking care of my son and my father, have now led me to the point that I'm able to do this for him. And that is time that I like, that I can never, like, replace. And I'm so grateful for that. So thank you all, to you, for giving me this opportunity. Yeah. And I'm just trying to make the most of it. So uh thank you, Paul. Says glad he's getting the care that he needs. He is, and that's what's important. He's in the best hospital, but I wish I knew more, you know? That's exactly why. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and beat myself up about it, because like I said, I've had nurses coming in all week and have had no idea. But I am upset at the rehab center, because the day that it happened, we raised, the alarm for concern, both me and my sister, and I could tell you all of our family, right? Because, like, so poetically, it was his birthday. So as soon as I got off the phone with him, and I called my sister, and I'm like, Pops doesn't seem to be in good shape. He seems like he's drunk. Either he's on some medicine, or there's some serious cause for concern. And that's when we're raising the alarm, and the rehab center, for lack, no, well, exactly, they just waved it off. They just, yeah, he got COVID, so he's not doing good. He got COVID and all this stuff, and I'm really upset because of it. Because we said that doesn't seem like it's COVID, right? It doesn't seem like he's got a cold and he's got a flu, and we were right, unfortunately. And that's why I said, like, that happened prior to anything, right? And that could happen at any time. So we're very unfortunate. What I'm upset about is that when we raised the alarm, that they just waved it away, that they just waved it off, and like, yeah, don't worry about it, he's fine. And we're like, we need you to check on our father. We just checked on him. He's fine. He's fine. And he wasn't. And for a week, I've had him, and I've been trying to take care of him. And at any time, that thing could have gotten real bad, even deadly. But like I said, I am fortunate enough, and we're fortunate enough that that didn't happen. And we're just now to the next step, where it's like he's getting the treatment that he needs. So I'm grateful for that. Try not to linger on the negative aspects, because at the end of the day, whatever they didn't do isn't going to change the situation to where he's at now. So that's the way that I got to look at it. And hopefully, you all who are hanging out here with me kind of get that same type of feeling. And if you're ever going through anything like that, let this be a lesson of strength and just perseverance. So we'll go with that. But guys, I did mention another thing. With all the cameras overheating and going with all the back and forth, this doesn't look bad. Like, this looks pretty good. These Obsbot do look pretty good, man. I'm not gonna take it away from them. But to get back to it, I was talking about exhaustion. And that's what I feel at the moment. But I'm gonna try to do my best to get some rest. Tomorrow, Sunday, I'm this is the crazy part, guys. I'm still not even done with my move, right? I still got TVs hung on the wall, refrigerators, and like most of the kitchen stuff that I still need to bring over to this location. So tomorrow I got a day full of loading and unloading to try to see if I can just finish it off for good. So like my marathon is still not over, even though I'm like at zero energy. So I'm gonna do my best to get some rest so that we can rock it out. You can tell like this is 11 for me right now because I am so tired. It's almost to the point of hysteria, but we march on. Let me see what you guys saying here. Randy's in the house says, I always get a second opinion. I went through the same type of medical advice, and my father's had septic shock caused from an operation. You're doing good. God bless. Cheers. Like I tell you, like I'm doing my best, right? And I'm doing my best, and I've heard a couple of the nurses saying more than anything, telling my father. They're telling my father like that's the way that I've been getting complimented, so to speak, throughout the week, which was all the nurses coming in. They're like, you're very lucky that you have your son here. You're very lucky, like, and that's why I say that I'm very grateful because on top of them giving me this kind of off-sided compliment, they're also giving me an illustration that most places don't have someone to take care of their family like that, which is the sad part. And that's why I said I'm still, no matter what, I'm grateful that I was able to do this for my father. At his time of need, I was able to help him out, and now we're just going to move forward and get him better. But for those of you who are here, I'm getting a clear view of what is coming up, and I'm probably going to be contacting, the crew and everything. I'm going to kind of say it right here. I don't think I'm going to be able to make Creator Camp 2025 this year, which is going to suck for me, but it's just the timing. By the time that August is ready, and like my father's not going to be at a position where he still doesn't need me at that time. It just, later on in the year, we hope that his condition obviously um, gets better, where he's a lot more independent again. But right now, he's extremely dependent, and for that reason, I just don't see the time frames working out. So, like, it's been so crazy. I haven't even been able to tell the Ecamm crew or anything like that, just because I haven't even spoken to them. I'm just letting it out here first, and maybe that's just a form of therapy as well. But as always, guys, I thank you all. So if you made it here and you're still hanging out, please be sure to hit the like button. It's highly appreciated. We're going to wrap it up here. I wish I could tell you I had a city's gone. I wish I could tell you I had a city's gone, but I've just been exhausted. I didn't have the time to set that up while just trying to go live and do everything else. Yeah. But if you've made it this far, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, do all the YouTubery things. Mark it down on your calendar because this was actually episode 245. So this is 245 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live streams without skipping a beat. We got Studio 2 and it's only going to get better from here. So if you want to see how we progress with the Studio 2 step by step, please be sure to be subscribed and also mark it down on your calendars. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday night, right here on the Mr. Camera Junkie YouTube channel. So until next week, take care of yourselves and each other. And I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces as we do it all over again, right here on this channel. So you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. So, guys, until next time. Talk to you.